For Dean Cernovskis, it was the love of the horses that led him to a career in harness racing. Growing up in the Southern Highlands town of Mossvale, it was in his mid-teens that Cernovskis was drawn to the local showgrounds where he got his first taste of the sport. From there, a love of not just the horses, but also harness racing developed.
Yeah, when I was young, I was mad keen on horses, and my family was not a very horsey people, well, not at all actually. And there's a local track in Mossvale where I grew up, Lackey Park, and they used to have a heap of trotters train down there, and just started riding my push bike down there every Saturday morning and just watched them all work and fell in love with them obviously because I love the horses. And then Damien Baxter, him and his grandfather Merv Thurston were training there on the track, and I knew him through family, and then he just said, oh, why don't you come down and we'll teach you a few things about them. And so I started going down there every weekend with them and learning about the horses, and yeah, away we went.
An interest developed into a passion, and Cernovskis spent some time with trainer Glen Frost, the son of legendary horseman Vic, to further refine his skills.
Old Merv sort of slowed down fairly well. He didn't have many there to do. I had one or two of my own that weren't much good, and Glen was just out the road at Exeter, so it was only 15 minutes out there, and he was sort of going pretty good at the time, and I thought I'd like to go out there and just try and learn something off him. And yeah, went out there and he had a few nice horses, and yeah, just learned a few things off him as well.
Without a harness racing family to fall back on, it was a case of learn on the job.
I've never had any family background to sort of have our own little system, how they train like other people would. So yeah, I sort of took little bits and pieces of everyone, and then once I moved to Canberra, when I was about 17, 18, we were stabled at the stable complex there, and just seeing little things that other people do and asking questions. And father-in-law John, he was a pretty good horseman in his day, and just bouncing ideas off him, and like you say, you do something and you think, oh, that don't work, so you have to stop and start again. But yeah, sort of, even till today, you're still asking questions and learning as you go.
As a professional floor sander, Cernovskis headed to Canberra for work opportunities. He also took along a few horses to train.
Never really had a plan to just go there and train horses. I was doing my floor sanding in Mossvale for a fella, and his brother-in-law was starting up a company in Canberra, and that's what I was with Ricky then. I was young and sort of wanted to get out of Mossvale, and thought, bugger it, I'll go down. I had a lot of friends like the Osmonds and Hawks and all that in Canberra, and I always loved the idea of the big stable complex, getting in amongst all the trotting people, and I only went down with one or two horses and just poked along with them. And then yeah, it took me 3 or 4 years, probably just poke along with my own couple, and then started up a syndicate and got a few people into that, and a bit of success sort of followed, and kept buying a few horses from then, and yeah, away we went.
His first real success as a trainer came with Horse Bucolics, a horse he leased off a well-known breeder.
I've always had just a handy horse without having a real good one. But when I first moved there, I took an old horse. He was only a battler, but then Dick Mitchell leased me a horse called Bucolics, and yeah, he was my champion at the time because he won 7 or 8 races at big prices. He won a country final at Harold Park. It was my first Harold Park winner as a trainer. Didn't have my Metro licence to drive him at that stage, but that was massive, 50 to 1. Sort of that was a massive highlight for me, and yeah, sort of just him and being there and not having a lot of work, and I sort of lived off him to start off, if you know what I mean. And yeah, I think probably just give people a bit of confidence that I could sort of do not a bad job, and yeah, away it went from there.
Despite enjoying good success with his horses in Canberra and the lifestyle that came with it, Cernovskis was offered the opportunity to train full-time for owner Brian Lockwood at his property in Jawadja back in the Southern Highlands.
I'd sort of been going pretty good. I just won the premiership in Canberra and had a good solid team of horses. I was pretty set there with my floors and everything was going good. Ricky went to Ireland for a while, and I was just sort of floating around Canberra by myself and didn't really have a reason to be there. And Brian asked me 3 or 4 times whether I'd come down there. Sort of a good mate of mine was mates with him, and at first I said no, I'm happy doing what I'm doing. But then I thought, well, what have I got to lose? And I've always wanted to do it. And yeah, just went down there, and Brian didn't have a lot of horses, only had a couple sort of average sort of horses, and I was lucky enough the horses that I was training, the owners were happy for me to take them down there, and yeah, so we just poked along with them ones. Yeah, it was good fun. Probably if I had my time over it, I'd enjoy it a bit more, as you're sort of going from having a stable living to training horses for a living. A bit of pressure and you're stressing a fair bit, and I'm a bit more relaxed than what I was back in them days. You're sort of always panicking that you're doing the right thing and earning enough money to pay the bills. But yeah, no, it was good plays, and Brian was great to me, and Harry Martin, he was awesome with us, and they're only a phone call away if you need a hand or a bit of advice, so that was good.
Cernovskis has had a few good horses over the years, including mare Daniela Hanchikova, who competed well at Menangle.
Back in the day, she used to race at Menangle fairly well and done a good job. Taught me a lot about racing them good fellas down there and whatnot. She sort of had to manage her a fair bit. I learned a lot with shoeing and that sort of stuff with her. Just give me a taste, like whenever you're a kid, all you want to do is race in them metropolitan races and be down there, and she was my first chance to really get there every week and get a taste of it, and yeah, she was great to us, and she's sort of breeding on pretty well now too.
Another horse that he has had a lot of success with is Lucky Voodoo.
Yeah, he was a legend though, Voodoo. We bought him as a yearling, little weedy fella. He was broken in. I sent him up to Josh Turnbull for his second prep, and he rang me up a week later, said get rid of him, he's no good, he won't pace. And I thought, oh geez, what are we going to do here? And a lady friend of ours owned him with us, and I said, well, I can't get rid of him now, she's just come in, so we give him a bit of time. And he got up, he races a 2 and 3-year-old, showed a bit of ability but couldn't win a race. We got him to about a C2 or 3. When he turned 4, he was starting to go okay, and I was just having a bit of a bad run and sent a couple up to Queensland, and he was on the truck to Shane Graham and Vicky Rasmussen. And yeah, he went awesome up there. Like, he went right through the free-for-all and done a really good job. And once the grading changed down at Sydney, he sort of would have suited him because he was a good, strong old fella. And he's probably raced there for the last 3 or 4 years and been competitive in most races. He lacked that bit of high speed that he needed to be a real good horse, but yeah, he was always there somewhere with him.
Life is pretty good for the young Cernovskis family. The floor sanding business is performing well, the horses are winning races, but most importantly, they're happy and enjoying the ride together.
Oh, that's everything, yeah. Like, I'm very lucky to have the horses in my life that I've got, but yeah, the kids and wife, they're number one for sure. And Lucy's mad keen on the ponies, and Harry, well, you wouldn't know what he's going to do, he's just wild. But Ricky, yeah, she loves the horses. She's mad on the breeding side. She does all the mares and foals and the yearlings for the sales, and she's breaking yearlings in this year for us, and she's just really good. They sort of click with her pretty well. She can handle them pretty good and do everything right, and she's like very good at driving and training herself, but she's had to take a back step for the last 3 or 4 years with the kids. There's just no time for her to do that. And but yeah, I'd say she'll get keen again one day and get back into it. But yeah, as long as they're happy, they like going to races and see all their friends and go crazy, and then yeah, away we go.